Are you talking to the provinces and territories about the PNP stuff? As you know, they're all pretty unhappy with the 50% reduction.
Yeah, and it's kind of too bad if they're unhappy. They've number of premiers have been irresponsible, whether it's for their own leadership campaigns or the elections that have been had over the last few months about immigration generally. I had a table with responsible ministers to talk about proper sharing of asylum seekers outside Quebec and Ontario, and that was weaponized by a number of premiers. So as part of the cuts that I think were responsible in the Levels plan in respect to permanent residency, I did cut the provincial nominee program by half, with a holdback of 25% to work with provinces that are willing to be responsible about taking on their fair share of asylum seekers, making sure that they're drawing from domestic pools of talent in the country. So I think that's the right thing to do. There are a number of provinces that have stepped up, and we're going to be talking to them, and hopefully they'll get their allocations in a way that they can use responsibly. I said it yesterday, immigration is a shared responsibility, and I think premiers in particular that have the jurisdiction over parts of welcoming newcomers, some highly skilled folks in this country that are contributing directly to the gross domestic product of the country, need to be responsible in the way they talk about immigration. So this isn't about lecturing them, it's just the reality of how we build this country, and we need that responsibility if they're going to have their allocations to them from the federal government. What's not outside Quebec, obviously, that controls immigration, permanent residency for its own reasons. Provinces control a quarter of immigration to this country, of permanent residency to this country, and a whole hell of a lot when it comes to temporary residency, as you've seen with respect to international students. So that requires proper actions, funds allocated to those people to make sure that they're properly welcomed to the country, and it has to be done responsibly. So those are talks that are ongoing. They'll be private, but I think it's something that I need to have and continue in private with provinces that are willing to step up. And certainly there have been a handful that have raised their hands and said, we're willing to do that so that we can work with our provincial nomination.
We've seen Donald Trump sign an executive order that has stopped Afghan asylum seekers who had their paperwork previously cleared from entering the U.S. at all, and similar moves toward refugees from other countries. Do you see a role for Canada stepping in this crisis?
Well, look, Canada will continue to remain a humanitarian country. We have limit to their ability to welcome people in a proper way. We have welcomed well over 50,000 Afghans over the last little while. That's something I think Canadians can be proud of. We've welcomed tens of thousands of Syrians refugees, and we currently have well over 300,000 Ukrainians that we're housing temporarily as the war goes on in Ukraine. So there is limited capacity, but if there are opportunities, we'll certainly look at them. The U.S. decision, as unfortunate as it is theirs, and we'll continue to do our job as a country that does have a heart and does care about resettlement of people that are fleeing war. We are, I think, the top country, resettlement country in the world. UNHCR recognizes that. I don't see that ending anytime soon, but there is a limit to our ability to do things, and we can't obviously be everything to everyone.
Jagmeet Singh suggested at his most recent presser that he would look into amending the Safe Third Country Act for trans Americans. Is that something that your government would consider?
No, I mean, look, we're obviously my heart goes out to the gay community and the trans community in the U.S. right now. They're going through a difficult time. As I'd mentioned, it's a stretch to create a whole new category of people that would be considered asylum seekers or refugees, and that's just reality. Whatever Jagmeet Singh is going on in his head, it's up to him really to think about.
Lay off of 3,000 IRCC workers. Why did that happen, and are you somewhat regretful given that you might be looking at a big asylum seeker surge?
Well, first of all, I think it was unfortunate that people will no longer be working at RCC. This is a department that has grown exponentially since 2015, but especially since 2019, to deal with a number of issues. Obviously, the surge in Ukrainian and our Afghanistan programs. A lot of the people that will not be continuing RCC are on term contracts. It will mean layoffs of several hundred permanent positions, but it's not 3,000 permanent positions. These were temporary. They were surge capacity employment numbers that we don't need anymore. It reflects the sunsetting of the Ukraine and the Afghan policies in particular, where we had a lot of people working on that. So we're returning to 2019 numbers. Again, in the federal civil service, the minister doesn't hire and fire people. It's the deputy minister, but it's work that we've been doing. Obviously, I answer for that at the end of the day, but I think it was the responsible thing to do. And to be able, frankly, to do it early while other departments are potentially hiring those folks, so to give them notice early and to make sure that this is done in the proper way.
Gould says the Canadians have lost faith in your party. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Look, I think given what's been going on the last couple months, I can understand that sentiment. I think we've been inwardly focused, and that's unfortunate. We need to be able to be talking to Canadians about what they're worried about, look at what their preoccupations are. So I would say that the position we're in is probably duly merited, but this is an opportunity during a leadership race to get some positive voices out there. It's part of the reason why I haven't taken a position yet, because I'm looking at the candidates and I'm making sure that they can offer a positive view of the country, a positive view of the party, and that actually we can come out unified. So it's a really important opportunity for the base to pronounce itself, to take a look at the policies. I don't want to see candidates slagging other candidates or slagging the Prime Minister. I think it's unhelpful. Canadians are watching and they'll be judging us accordingly. So honestly, I wish her good luck. Those are her views. I don't share them entirely, but I do think we have some reflecting to do as a party as to how we got into this position. I think that's healthy during a leadership race.
How are the leadership candidates pitching themselves to you and your colleagues?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a bit of a dance, right? Like it's early in the it's early in the night, so you know, people are talking about their positions, asking for support, and I'm frankly looking at what they have to offer. I just want it to be positive. Like, this is something we absolutely have to make sure that we do. And if a candidate isn't positive, they're allowed to be critical, as I mentioned earlier. But this can't be a mudslinging opportunity.
Do you think some people are not being positive?
Well, I'm looking at it, so you know, I'm listening to what people are saying.